So, good morning, everyone. The topic that I'm going to present on today is Hiranyakashipu, the usurper of the three worlds, a study of his mythology and artistic representation. Introduction. The narrative of the demon Hiranyakashipu is found throughout India as being popularly associated with the myth of Narasimha. He is regarded as the one who incurs the wrath of Lord Vishnu for usurping the three worlds and for inverting the balance of things to his whims and fancies. After being mentioned for the first time in the Mahabharata, his narrative increases in complexity and with changing agendas as evidenced by his subsequent Puranic compilations. Artists throughout India have been portraying the detailed story of his greed and lust for power, while also showcasing in parallel the trials and tribulations faced by his son Prahalada due to his utmost devotion to Vishnu. This contrast between father and son, between devotion and destruction, is what drives the story of Hiranyakashipu into the minds of the larger audience. So now we come to the story. The account of Hiranyakashipu as being a nefarious demon is primarily seen in the 18 Mahapuranas. Despite varying in a few minor details, all the Puranas contain the same account of the rise and fall of Hiranyakashipu caused by his own actions. Though this presentation is mainly going to concentrate on sculptures, I have provided Pahari paintings from the 18th century and Hoysala stone carvings from the 12th century to act as visual models for the narration of the story I am going to give, to be more attractive for you audiences and to get a more immersive view into how artists used depictions for their storytelling. It all begins when the demon king Hiranyakashipu practices severe austerities without consumption of any food, sustaining himself only on the air that he breathes. He stands for 10,000 years with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking towards the sky. The spot where he stood, even after being covered by an anthill and by grass and bamboo sticks, do not seem to disturb his austerity, which could now be felt by the heavens. Pleased by his action, Lord Brahma offers him to grant whatever he wishes for. Here, Hiranyakashipu wishes Brahma to grant him exemption from a death from gods, Gandharvas, demons, human beings, animals, insects, snakes, and reptiles. He wished not to be cursed by sages and killed by any weapon, neither wet nor dry. And if the unfortunate event of his death were to occur, it should neither be inside nor outside, and neither be day nor night. And if anyone were at all able to kill him, it should be achieved by one stroke of the hand. Not being satisfied even with this, the demon then wishes to encompass the universe, to be the sun, moon, wind, fire, water, and air, as well as to become the guardians of the four regions of the world. After Brahma, hearing all this, declares, "Let it be so," Hiranyakashipu, not wasting any time, wages war on the heavens and dethrones Indra himself. Calling upon all the creatures of the earth and the nether realms, he then declares himself as the only king of the three worlds and orders all creatures to immediately abandon activities of worship made for the gods, including offerings, donations, and arranging holy sacrifices. He then proceeds to wreak havoc and spread fear while demanding all creatures to worship him as the only supreme lord in existence. After all this has happened, the terrible demon begets a son named Prahalada, who from his childhood was an ever devout worshipper of Lord Vishnu. His father, calling to him one day, boastfully proceeds to tell his son of the duties he must perform and the enemies he must slay in order to inherit and control the three worlds. But to Hiranyakashipu's dismay, Prahalada refutes him, saying that there was no meaning in material possession and in life without the presence of Vishnu. Becoming enraged with the mere thought of being lesser in the eyes of his son, even after possessing whatever there is in the universe, Hiranyakashipu, but without any compassion, orders his son to be tortured and killed. The demons in his court first tried to attack Prahalada with all the weapons they have, but were surprised when all of them turned to lotus petals when it touched Prahalada's body. Next, Hiranyakashipu orders snake charmers to release the most venomous snakes that they have on Prahalada. But when those creatures went near him, their fangs fell off. Next, the demon king had intoxicated elephants to trample his son, but when those mighty animals approached him, their tusks fell off and the elephant fell flat to the ground. Hiranyakashipu even tried setting fire to Prahalada, but was astonished to see him unscathed by the heat. All this made Hiranyakashipu furious, realizing that whatever boon he had gained from his severe austerities, Prahalada was seen to be emulating just by invoking the name of Vishnu in his lips. The demon king then challenges his son to prove the omnipresence of Vishnu by kicking a stone pillar inside his palace and boastfully asking, "Is your Vishnu in this pillar?" Hiranyakashipu is suddenly blinded by a white light emerging from the pillar and becomes stunned to see a half-man, half-lion creature roaring at him. Shaking off his initial surprise and realizing it to be Vishnu, he charges the creature with his sword, but in a matter of seconds, he becomes overpowered by this man-lion or Narasimha. He then finds himself balanced in the thighs of this creature, standing on the threshold of his palace during twilight. The creature then uses its neither wet nor dry nails as a weapon to pierce open his heart, instantly killing the demon. Just like Hiranyakashipu not being satisfied with whatever he got, Narasimha, not being satisfied by the easy death he gave Hiranyakashipu, then furiously pulls out his intestines to wear them around his neck as a garland. Prahalada, then singing praise and hymns of adoration, calms down Narasimha to make him revert back to his original form of Vishnu, getting praises and blessings from all the gods in return. It is interesting to note that all of Hiranyakashipu's devious actions in the Puranic accounts are mentioned in length and with many details, but when it comes to his death in the hands of Narasimha, it gets over in a matter of minutes, making it seem to show that the immense power of Vishnu has against anyone who wishes to challenge him. So now that we have understood his mythology, let us understand his artistic representations using sculptures. So the first image that we are going to talk about is Narasimha disemboweling Hiranyakashipu, which is the earliest of his kinds, dated back to the 3rd, 4th century from Mathura, currently housed in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. This image, made of spotted sandstone, shows both the man-lion and the demonic creature clad in simple clothes, wearing with Hiranyakashipu depicted as being almost in a fetal-like position, with a mustache, a simple necklace, and with long wavy hair on his head. The left arm in the upper half of his body seems to be broken, and the lower half of his body seems to be draped by a garment extending till his ankles and depicted with folds. Interestingly, his face does not reflect the intense pain that he is going through, but only holds a smile, seeing Narasimha with his last breath. This particular stone image of Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu, dated to the 5th century CE, shows the demon in a final struggle for his life from the clutches of the man-lion. Only the upper half of this sculpture survives, and it shows Hiranyakashipu to be two-handed and with the depictions of earrings not seen in the previous centuries. His eyes are wide open and his mouth is ajar, almost as if trying to let out a scream using his last breath. The demon is depicted with a top knot on his head, which is firmly being held by Narasimha while he tries to rip off the demon's heart. So this image from Kashmir, dated to the 6th, 7th century CE and currently in display in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, showcases the fear fighting of Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu. The demon king is seen tightly bound by Narasimha, who grabs the demon's left arm while pressing the right leg with his feet. Hiranyakashipu is depicted as looking at the man-lion with astonishment while wearing a turban, circular earrings, and a necklace. The lower half and the top left portion of the head of Hiranyakashipu seems to be broken. So this sculpture of Narasimha killing Hiranyakashipu is from the Harihara temple number 1 from Rajasthan and is stylistically dated to belong to the 8th century CE. Here, the demon is evenly balanced on the knees of Narasimha, who then proceeds to tear out the stomach of the demon to remove the intestines, showcasing a very gory death. Interestingly, there seems to be a figure who is seen prostrating on the bottom right corner and whom Narasimha seems to balance his right leg on. This figure should, according to legend, be Prahalada, who here is shown almost surrendering himself in devotion to his lord. Hiranyakashipu is seen ornamented with a pair of circular earrings and a necklace while also sporting long flowing hair. The faces of all these three figures and the side profile of Hiranyakashipu seems to be damaged. This image from cave number 15 in Ellora, dated to the 8th century of the Rashtrakuta period, is an excellent example for showcasing the dynamism of the duel that occurred between Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu. This sculpture is a very picturesque shot of the initial reactions of the Demon King when he first laid eyes on the man-lion creature. Hiranyakashipu is seen trying to swing his right hand to use his sword to attack Narasimha, who then proceeds to make the demon lose his balance by interlocking his legs with the demon and also by pushing away the demon's head using one of his right arms and attempting to grab his shoulders. Hiranyakashipu is given a previously unseen amount of detailing with the presence of armlets, bracelets, circular earrings, a waistband, and a necklace, all beautifying the demon to show the material wealth he possessed. The crown that Hiranyakashipu wears also seems to be as ornate as the one worn by Narasimha. There seems to be damage to both the figures from their waist down. The physical features of Hiranyakashipu are accentuated with a prominent neck and a longer torso. His lower garment also shows the presence of a girdle clasped with a lion motif. This particular image from cave 16 in Ellora is also dated to be belonging to the 8th century CE of the Rashtrakuta period, showing Hiranyakashipu physically charging and grappling Narasimha, which is a motive not seen elsewhere. We usually see Narasimha, the one physically grappling Hiranyakashipu, but it is literally the opposite here. The demon's left leg seems to be in the air, displaying a sense of motion, and Narasimha seems to balance himself on the figure that is prostrating next to him. It is not clear whether the figure is another demon or Prahalada himself due to quite some damage sustained by this entire carving, with the head of Hiranyakashipu also seeming to be missing. All three figures are shown to be standing in the threshold of a building with celestial beings surrounding them, depicted as if eagerly seeing who triumphs in the fight. This particular sculpture from Pattadakal, dated to the 8th century CE, from the Chalukya period, shows Hiranyakashipu being caught by surprise when Narasimha locks onto him from behind with 3 of his 4 hands. The Demon King is portrayed to be helplessly trying to unsheath the sword in his right hand and defend himself with the shield held in his left hand, but it all seems to be too late. The demon is shown with a high crown and jutting locks of hair, along with a necklace, a sacred thread, a waistband, and a profusely draped lower garment. Narasimha, portrayed trying to match the leg movement of Hiranyakashipu, gives an almost rhythmic character to the scene. Both the figures standing in between the two pillars makes the sculpture emulate the motion of Hiranyakashipu being pushed out by Narasimha to the threshold of his palace moments before killing him. So this particular image from Namakkal, dated to the 8th century Pallava period, shows the demon Hiranyakashipu near the end of his life. Narasimha here is shown plunging his hands inside the demon's abdomen while completely balancing him as the demon helplessly falls to the ground, still clenching his weapons. Hiranyakashipu is depicted with a short crown, earrings, armbands, bracelets, a thick sacred rope, and a tightly fitted lower garment. This entire scene emulates an energetic sequence as perfectly mentioned in the Puranic texts. Now, this particular sculpture, dated to the 9th century from Uttar Pradesh and currently in display in the Allahabad Museum, shows Hiranyakashipu being killed by Narasimha, whose hands are seen tearing open the Demon King. The hands and legs of the demon are broken, but there seems to be traces of a fist holding the hilt of the sword, as if almost trying to strike the man lion before he gets the benefit of the kill. Hiranyakashipu is seen with an elaborate hairdo, along with drooping ears with circular earrings, a necklace, and a short lower garment adorning his body. His eyes are wide open, and he stares at Narasimha almost with a gleeful smile, as if accepting his defeat in a demonic way. Now, I personally believe no presentation on art can be complete without showcasing specimens from the Hoysala period. These two images are like the before and after sequence of the final battle between Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu from the Hoysaleshwara temple in Halibed, dated to the 12th century CE. On both the images, the demon king is perfectly balanced in between Narasimha's legs, and we can see him holding a shield with his right hand, fighting till the bitter end. In the image to the right, Narasimha pulls Hiranyakashipu's entrails, which is depicted almost garland like, with the man lion creature attempting to wear it around its neck. In order for us to truly appreciate the intricate depictions of ornaments on these two Hoysala sculptures, they must definitely be viewed separately. When doing so, we can see the demon with bulging eyes, wearing a crown, circular earrings, a bejeweled necklace, and anklets in both the images. But the image to the top has a waist girdle with festoons, and the image in the bottom shows the demon wearing lower garments with pleats. Now, these two unique terracotta images are from the Char Bangla temple and the Madan Mohan temple, respectively, in West Bengal, both dated to the 18th century. In both the images, the demon king lies in a splayed manner, with the image on the left showing him with long hair, and the image on the right showing him with a cap like feature on his head. In both the images, the demon is displayed to be dead with no underlying motion, but we only see Prahalada in the image to the right, depicted like a small boy, seen singing the praise of Vishnu to calm down the man lion creature. Now we are going to analyze what we can observe from all the information we have gathered. The depiction of Hiranyakashipu can be seen throughout the Indian subcontinent, but can only be seen along with the figure of Narasimha and never alone. From the earliest times, Hiranyakashipu in sculptures is only shown with having two arms, similar to his portrayal in mythology, as a demon and never a divinity. All his depictions till the 8th century CE show him clad in simple clothes and ornaments, but this changes profusely after that. The depictions of the scenes of battle between the demon king and Narasimha seem to be more prominent in southern parts of India than in the north. The reason for why there is no depiction of Prahalada in the sculptures before the 8th century CE can be correlated to the accounts of Hiranyakashipu's story in the Harivamsa Purana and the Kurma Purana, which are thought to be the earlier versions of his myth. In them, Prahalada is not shown as an ardent devotee of Vishnu, but as someone who fought Narasimha along with his father, but surrenders when he understands the power of God. So the images with the prostrating figure in the panels depicting Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu in a duel can be the version of Prahalada which surrenders to Narasimha rather than being a devout worshipper who was rescued by God from the clutches of his father. The reason for Hiranyakashipu's demise can be considered in two different ways. In the earlier versions of his Puranic accounts, as in the Harivamsa and Kurma Purana, he usurps control of the three worlds to himself and makes sure all the benefits of Vedic sacrifices done by anyone on earth should be enjoyed by him alone, making his actions invert the order of things in the world. And since Vishnu is considered as the preserver of life and normality among the Trinity, he comes and destroys Hiranyakashipu to revert things back as it were. But after the advent of Bhakti devotionalism towards Vishnu, as seen in the Bhagavata and the Narasimha Purana, Hiranyakashipu gets destroyed mainly due to him being a non-believer and a hindrance in the worship of Vishnu by all the creatures of the world, and mainly by his son Prahalada. Like every mythology, the story of Hiranyakashipu is loaded with a moral. It is that evil is not something you are born to be. but only through evil actions you become greedy and sinful, straying away from what is right. Hiranyakashipu was never satisfied with what he had. Even after possessing near immortality, he always strived to take away what others had, never being content with who he was. In his lust for power, he tries to put to death his own son, who begins to question his morality, trying to bring him back to the right path. With this, I finish my presentation, and I want to thank Preeta ma'am for giving me this opportunity and for you audiences for lending me your time. Thank you.